Hi, this is George Alger with Our Ventura TV. Today we're going to be speaking about the Pleasant Valley Educational Program, or Education Foundation. And our guest is the president of that association. Welcome, Bob.
Thanks, George. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on the air.
All right. And in fact, let me just state your full name. It's Bob Taylor.
Yes, sir.
And let's start out with, what is the Pleasant Valley Education Foundation?
Well, we're a group of volunteers, and we do have an executive director 10 hours a week. She also is a full-time director for one of the arts programs in Ventura. So we're very fortunate to have her 10 hours a week helping us with grants and communication and a few small things like that. The rest of it's all volunteers that are all passionate about helping our districts with some of the programs that are getting cut out from the state level. Things like arts and technology are really getting cut out from the state level, and our charter is to help with arts and technology through the Pleasant Valley School District and the other public schools in the Camarillo School District area.
Okay. Now, before we get right into the programs and other activities of the foundation, let's get a little background on how you gravitated towards this role as president.
Well, it's kind of funny because my child went to school in Camarillo, and I was in the high school twice the whole time he was there. Never had a reason to. And you're a good student, but never a problem or anything. But it seems like just after he graduated, I ended up getting involved in different facets of the education system in Camarillo, whether it was the high school or the grade schools. And I consider myself a volunteer on a lot of levels. I do volunteer work for the city, I do volunteer work for the chamber, and I ended up being asked to serve on the Pleasant Valley Education Foundation board. And from there, that was about 10 or 11 years ago, I've been president. This is my third time as president, and it's just something I enjoy doing, just helping the districts and watching the kids grow. It's just such an amazing thing to see a child that has little trouble even speaking, then getting up and singing and dancing on stage. It's just such a great transformation to see the kids that don't have the self-confidence become the people that we need them to be, not just to take care of Camarillo, but the county and also eventually the world. So it's just a great thing to watch the development and watch the growth.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay, well, let's talk about the programs that the Pleasant Valley Education Foundation delivers.
Well, I guess what our key program is a little production we call CineMagic. And what CineMagic does, it started out with about 300 kids that we would teach them to sing and dance, vocal training, and a whole bunch of stuff like that. And we would bring them together, and they would put on a production. The first one was at the Thousand Oaks Art Center, or Thousand Oaks Plaza. Pretty expensive over there, and the kids get one show. So we've had to tone it down a little bit. This last year, finding a venue is hard too. It's hard for us to find a venue that we can put more than 70 kids on stage at one time. So this last year, we actually broke it down into two groups. We had an A and a B group, and we did a show Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday matinee, and a Saturday night. So two different groups of children, and we had it at Pacifica High School. They have a great performing arts center there, and it's just something we don't have in Camarillo at this time to put that many kids on stage. So we do come into Oxnard in order to do our thing there. And we start in about January, and the production is about April. The kids work really hard. We have a great producer. Her name is Lindan Cheney. She's been involved in music and arts for a long time through the Pleasant Valley School District. And it's just a great, they put together a theme, whether it's a travel theme, whether it's an oldies theme. This year was all about the ecology. And it started out with some students that were just, rich and snobby, and a few other students that really wanted to do something for the ecology, and they ended up on an island in Tahiti with no hotels, no nothing, and trying to convince this snobby girls of it's all about the world and saving the world. And of course, throughout the whole thing, it's all singing and dancing. And of course, they were convinced by the end of it, and everybody holds hands at the end. And at the end, it's always a song that the audience gets right into. We are the world, we are the children. Just songs like that from our past that we know that, so the audience gets right involved with also. And it's about a two-hour program with about a 15-minute intermission in between.
Wow, great.
That's the biggest of our programs.
Okay, and maybe you can speak a little bit about the history of the organization.
About the what, sir?
The history?
Okay, now, the foundation started actually about 30 years ago. And with all volunteer organizations, you tend to run the gambit of people being there a little too long, spending too much time, getting burnt out. volunteer organizations, it's a lot of work. And so the foundation kind of went underground after about 10 years, left a small bank account. And then about 12 years ago, Pardee, who was leaving Camarillo, had built out Camarillo as much as it could be due to our store initiative. They owed Camarillo a high school, or not a high school, they owed them a grade school. Well, there wasn't any place to put one in. So Howard Hamilton, in his just brilliant thinking, decided, okay, why don't you give the Pleasant Valley Education Foundation $500,000 and we will start the foundation up again. And that's what got us our seed money to get started. So about, I guess about 11 years ago now, we started up again, had a bunch of the big heavy hitters in Camarillo on the board, and we started our CineMagic program. We bought 60 laptops for the school district, and just did a lot of, we brought in a music person for the district, and did a lot of great things. We started offering teacher grants, and spent an awful lot of money the first few years.
Wow, now do the benefits of your program touch all of the schools in the district?
We touch all of the public schools in the Camarillo area. Now, any of the private schools, or even schools out of our area, are welcome to join in the things that we do. They pay their own way in. So we provide the funds for the schools in the Camarillo area, the charter schools and the Pleasant Valley School Districts. That includes the Cape School and the University Prep School, which are both charter schools in the Pleasant Valley School District area. So we, the programs we do, we include both of those schools. But when we did our Junior Lego League, which is the predecessor to robotics, it's for the younger kids, we had 44 teams from north of Santa Barbara to the Valley and South Port Hueneme. So we don't turn down any teams. You know, we let anybody participate. It's just they just pay their own way in.
Could you speak a little bit about these robotic Legos?
Well, Legos have really redefined themselves, I guess about 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. And one of our great board members, her name is Darren Patno, who is just a tireless servant for the Pleasant Valley Education Foundation. It's kind of like us watching a golf tournament and saying, I'm going to put one on, without ever golfing. And she saw a little robotics tournament, and what it is, it's a little computer about this big, about this thick, and you program that little computer. You put little legs on it, you put little scoops on it, you put all kinds of little Lego parts on it, and you program it through your laptop to do different things. And so they end up with a board that you have to run through. You can knock down some balls, you can pick up some sticks, you can do all kinds of things. And there's rules about everything. You have to stay inside a certain area or you lose points. You have to do so many things or you lose points or you gain points based on what you do. One child runs it, one child can snap on pieces, one child can do this. But we tie it up with some kind of educational segment. This year it's all about super seniors. So every team, and the teams are usually from 4 kids to 6. Any more than 6, they don't all get a good chance to participate. Any less than 4, they really need some help. And this year the kids all have to work with a senior partner to do something on the side with the robotics that also has to do with helping seniors. They've put together some great things. Little wheelchair aids, little reaching sticks, little pill boxes that sing to you so you know when you're supposed to be taking your pills, different types of TV changers to change the channel. So it depends on who they're working with and what seniors they're working with, and actually what kind of shape the seniors are in that they're working with. This is the things that they develop themselves.
Wow, that's great.
It really is a great thing just to watch the kids do a little presentation about the things they have learned and what they're doing, which really doesn't have anything to do with running the robot, but it's part of the educational part that we incorporate into the robotics.
Cool. Now, I'm sure that you need more volunteers.
All the time.
All the time. Okay, so speak a little bit about how, what volunteers are doing or what someone might expect if they were to reach out to you.
We do a 3rd grade speech tournament. And the 3rd grade speech tournament takes 100 volunteers just from Moore Park College for judges every year. Roland Glover, who teaches at Moore Park College, the speech teacher, every year he works with us. And that's not all the volunteers. That one-day speech tournament takes about 130 volunteers, but he brings in 100 judges just for those kids. And we have a certain amount of children from every school in the Camarillo area, every public school, and they all come in, and there's about 4 or 5 different types of speeches they can do. They can do dual, they can do rhyme, different types of speeches, and they all get judged just on a scale, you know, best, second, third. And the top 3 all go into the finals. So we get everybody together, and then while the judges are tallying, we have a little thing in the auditorium, and we've had some great speakers in the auditoriums. Quite often we get somebody like Dr. Sawyer from CSU-CI, those kind of people come in to give the kids a little 5-minute speech, a little pep speech, what a great job you're doing. We usually get last year's winner in to give a little speech. And then from there, the kids afterwards come down for their finals, and then the winners are announced at the schools, and the trophies are taken to the schools the next day or the day after that. So it's just a great thing just to watch those stands filled with third grade kids and parents and teachers, and just that alone takes 130 volunteers for the one day. Our CineMagic program that we already talked about, that takes, there's rehearsal 3 times a week. Every rehearsal needs about 15 volunteers. We need makeup people, we need set people. It just doesn't seem like there's ever enough volunteers, you know. As with anything you do, some work themselves to death, and others just have a little trouble getting there. It doesn't matter what kind of program you have. So it's really good when we can get more volunteers and people that are passionate about what they do. People are always passionate when their kids are involved. When their kids graduate, then so do the parents as a general rule. So what we really do need is people that are just passionate about education, want to be on the board, and want to make a difference in the city, as opposed to following their children to the other things that they do. Not that there's anything wrong with the ones that are following their kids, that's great, we love to have them, but it's hard to get a board full of people that are continually there just for the sake of being there and working with all the programs.
Right. Okay, and I know that you've spoken about the seed money that you started the board with, but could you touch on fundraising activities?
Well, we do a few different little fundraisers. CineMagic started as a fundraiser. This last year it wasn't so. The costs are high. It costs us about $60,000 to put on CineMagic, everything from director costs to the cost of the studio. Costumes, getting kids to and from, just a number of things are very costly putting on that big of a production. Our fundraisers are everywhere from knocking on the door of the bank to knocking on the door of your local coffee shop and saying, hey, here's what we're doing, please help. We count on the parents an awful lot, of the kids who are in the program. Quite often we eat up the same parents over and over because they got kids in 3rd grade and they got them in something else and they got kids in something else, so it's the same parents quite often. We find that in fundraising, those that like to support education, the bigger companies really like to support the college or the university, and the mid-sized companies like to support the sports and the high schools. We're the little kids. And what we don't want to do is take the money away from the PTAs or the PTOs or the organizations that really need it to run their schools. And so we're kind of that red-haired stepchild in between the whole thing. So most of our fundraising is generated strictly through our programs themselves and how we can sell ads in our programs and how we can raise money for that. We have a family night once a month at one of the local restaurants, and we generate everywhere from, $60, and some of them we've only raised $15. But we still do it every month just to keep the rah-rah going about the Pleasant Valley School District and really work hard to keep the word out about it. We're really thrilled this year. Pleasant Valley School District has a new superintendent, Rayanne Michaels, and we're meeting with her every month now as to how we can work together to keep the technology going in the Pleasant Valley School District. They're going to count on us for software upgrades and repairs and that kind of thing as much as possible. So they're going to also help us getting the word out about the programs that we're doing. With an all-volunteer board, it's really tough to remain consistent as to exactly how you do things when the job gets passed on every year from one volunteer to the next. So it's just, you got to stay with good communication, you just got to stay on top of things, you just got to keep people that are passionate about what they're doing with nose to the grindstone and staying on the banks and the big companies in Camarillo and the big organizations outside of Camarillo. Sharon does a great job. Sharon Taylor, our executive director, no relation. She does a great job applying for grants. We're very excited about Edison. We got a $5,000 grant from Edison this year, and we're actually meeting with them Friday, their community liaison, to go over how we can partner a little bit more to help the schools with their technology and how they can help more in our robotics program. So we're really excited about that meeting we have coming up on Friday.
Great. Well, we're just about out of time on our show here, so 2 things. Number 1, what would be the best way that people could find out more?
Well, it's real simple, pvef.org. pvef.org, Pleasant Valley Education Foundation.org. We found it the easiest way to get the information out, the simplest for people to remember. So if you just go to pvef.org, and can I give out my personal phone number?
if you wish.
Sure. My number is 805-312-6695, and I will talk to anybody anytime about the foundation, whether it's questions, complaints, or I want to give you a bunch of money. Anything at all about it, I'm more than willing to talk at any time.
Good. And number two, just to wrap up the show here, is there a summating message you'd like to convey to the viewers?
Yes. We all have only one of three things to give, whether it's to our husbands, our wives, our church, our friends, or to the organizations we serve. We have time, talent, and treasures. That's all we have to give. Sometimes somebody giving us a $20 check, I'd much rather have a couple hours of their time or pick their brain for a little while to see how I could help them. So any one of those three things can help us. If you don't have money, well, I certainly can use your time and your talent. If you don't have time, write me that check. Any one of those three will help us quite a bit. A little quote of Winston Churchill that I always get wrong, but basically what it says is, what you do is how you make your living. What you give is how you make your life. And I enjoy what I do.
Well said.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. This is George Alger signing off for another segment of Our Ventura TV. Until we see you again.